my heart and my thoughts is, of course, with Cassie, all of the survivors that's affiliated with this situation, and just in general around the world. If you or somebody has been through this, something like this, just know that y'all are not alone. Please go out to get help. There is somebody who cares about you. There is somebody who will listen. There is somebody waiting for you at the end of the tunnel. Like, I promise you, do not go through this alone. I hope that, I know I'm selfish when I say this, but I hope that one day, Cassie, one day, for a long time from now, when Cassie is done with her healing, because I'm sure she's done a lot of work, but to be doing this right now in the third trimester, she is going to give birth in a month from now. This is a lot for her right now. And so I hope that one day, maybe in 5 years or so, maybe she can give an interview. That's very selfish of me to say, for her to be reliving her trauma. But most of all, I mean, shit, I hope that she released a book too, bitch. I'll buy 10 copies. But you know what? And I saw earlier in Tisa's live, people were saying, like, they hope that she releases the music that she made in that time. And I could say that too. Actually, that's one of the concerns. And that's one thing that, like, I hope, like, I don't know, I hope that, like, Diddy has to pay some huge lump sum of money for restitution, bitch. We didn't even talk about $20 million. Ain't shit. 20 million is nothing. Because when that shit was coming out about the lawsuit and shit like that, I was thinking 50 million. I don't know why. She asked for 30 million just cuz. No, 50 million at least. Okay? At the least. Deceased girl, I haven't been paying attention to the case, but I'm a binge her trial content. Imagine how many lawsuits were dismissed as frivolous, but looking at them now tells a different story. Facts. Thank you, Nelly. You think Diddy got papers, word on Cassie, and got her to sign it? What you mean by that? Like NDAs or contracts? But yeah, speaking of contracts and her music, like, I would hope for that as well. But like, it's because in Tisa's live earlier, like right before when court was done at like 5 o'clock, she was live for like an hour, and people were in the comments were saying like, oh, like if you stream her music, like, would he be getting paid off of that? And the answer is most likely yeah. So I just hope that, like, some way somehow, I hope that, like, if this deal is still in place between them, her and Diddy, I hope that, like, he can release her from that contract. Remember how when shit really started going down, but before we really knew about it, Diddy was giving people back their publishing. Not sure if she was a part of that, whatever. She has 9.6 million monthly listeners. That's crazy. I didn't think it was that much. So her first album still says Bad Boy Records for the US, and Warner internationally, excluding the United States, South America, and Central America. So I just hope that, like, I mean, who knows if she would ever want to make music again? I'm sure that, like, making music for her is the least of her worries. She probably doesn't even care. But if she gets to that point one day, I hope that, like, at the end of this, regardless of how this trial goes, she needs to be released from that contract. And she needs to go, like, independent, to where if she wants to release music, she can do that under her own imprint. Now, I'm not even gonna touch her shit, like, I'm not even gonna touch her shit, because I would hate for any of my fucking streams to be going into his pocket. So, well, see, this is interesting actually. Me and You remix featuring P. Diddy, that's blacked out. That means that there's something wrong business wise. The Boys with Nicki at number 3 on her most popular. Now that's, you could stream that, because that's really, Nicki owns that, and she'll own some of the publishing off of her share. Featuring Lil Wayne. Where that came out? Source, Bad Boy, Reservoir Media. Ezekiel Lewis. His name is familiar. Probably like a writer or producer. Any questions, comments, or concerns, guys? But they had to sign an NDA to get their rights back. Oh, she could barely sing. She needed to get her influencer back. Facts. How was Cassie making money, right? From the time she leaves him in 2018, from 2018 until 2024, that's when she gets the 20 million. What was she doing between then? What was he doing? Alex Finn, right? Like, that's how you say his name. Does he continue to train other people and stuff? Yeah, like, I'm kind of interested in that. Anyway, Cassie said she would host parties to make her own money. Yeah, she said that. But but that was during while they were together when she was young. She ain't hosting no parties nowadays. She not outside. She was getting by her pretty looks and influencing on IG. You know what? There was some like photo shoots and shit. But yeah, okay. And how like did they pay for her rehab? She was addicted until 2023. I wonder how long she spent in rehab. He would keep it in his medicine bag. You remember when like this news broke about like my young Miami and the pink cocaine? We haven't heard nothing about pink cocaine. What is the scientific name for pink cocaine? Tusi. Okay. So we haven't heard about Tusi yet. Now, I think during this time when the shit came out about like Young Miami, pink cocaine, and that dude brought it to them on wherever, they said that like Diddy kept like I don't know, I don't even know how to explain it or if I'm saying the right thing or whatever. But it's like he kept these like small bags on him, like on his person, and they were like how like even the assistants, people around him, had to keep these small bag of drugs on them, in order to feed his habit, his addiction. If he would run out, like just during the day, like all day, like he would be doing shit or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know if that shit is true. But to a certain extent, he had a medicine bag, a toiletry bag, which was a LV bag, and she did opiates every day. Now, I guess when she was like moving on from him, she kept a knife etched into her door. When Armand was saying that, I thought he was talking about Diddy's door, but Cassie's door. She kept a knife in her door, like in case he came. Oh Lord, I wonder if the husband, if Alex knows about Diddy, like taking her after they were supposedly done. They go to dinner. She says the dinner was great. He was normal. Everything was fine. Takes her home, then makes his way in, and then takes her on the live in the living room. And not only obviously that's disrespectful to her, but that was Diddy's way of disrespecting her new partner, right? Like, taking his quote unquote property, marking his territory. Once again, showing his power, even when he wasn't in power anymore. Yes, they have two kids. The third is on the way. That's another thing to touch on. Her friend Kerry Morgan, their name came up several times, but like, they said today that her and like Cassie are no longer friends because Diddy came to hit their place one day, took the wooden hanger and whacked the out of them, then they left. And that just really illustrates how like how much it takes out of you to be a friend of someone who is in this type of relationship, in an abusive relationship, to the point where you got to cut the friend off even when you're trying to help them. You want what's best for them. And that's just truly sad because it takes a toll on everybody. It's not just about you. It's not, and I'm not, when I say you, I'm not even talking about Cassie. I'm talking about Diddy. Diddy, it's not just about you. And that's one of the things that I hope that he understands in this second phase of life that he goes through. Child technically third because he tried to clean it up, talking about, oh, I go by love. Shout out to Dizzy, sorry, shout out to Cassie for holding me down in the dark times. That's what he said on the stage of the BET Awards before all of this went down. Now the defense doesn't want the witnesses to be able to speak to their lawyers even when they're on breaks. Oh, but you know what else is interesting? I think Tisa said they're thinking that D-Rock is a co-conspirator because we have not heard about any co-conspirators, other than like, well, they have not named anyone else as a co-conspirator yet. Like anybody who was, like hiring people or whatever, like for example, assistants, drivers, security could be co-conspirators, but they haven't really named anyone as a co-conspirator yet. But D-Rock's name keeps coming up because I think he was a security guard somewhere that D-Rock and his wife is someone that Cassie felt safe with. She went to their house one time after a beating to heal. And I think it's really interesting how that Diddy's team was having breakfast and sitting with producers from TMZ, The Shade Room, and The Breakfast Club. That's interesting. Tisa also talked about how, like, like it seems like everybody, not just Diddy, they're all in delusion. Tisa was talking about how, like, his team, including kids, kind of they're sitting there and they're looking unbothered. In even during like the graphic testimony, with all of these crazy details, and I'm not sure like what the what the right way for them to look is. You kind of want to be as stoic as possible, as emotionless. But I think it's really interesting how Tisa said that like the kids in the courtroom, they would be like on their best behavior when the jury is in the room. But as soon as the jury would leave the room, they would start like looking at each other, maybe snickering a little bit, slouching, just not being on their best behavior. That's really interesting. Very interesting. I mean, it's kind of like you got to be on. You got to be like, perfect. There's so many eyes on you right now. But yeah, just hearing how people are acting in the courtroom, very interesting. And Diddy's team is like they're unbothered, by all of this. Like the kids, even the abuse, like they're unbothered. Like it doesn't seem to like, hit them, or they don't really have much of a reaction. And so Tisa's like, and that's when she started talking about how like his team is like eating with TMZ producers, Breakfast Club, and the Shade Room producers. And she was saying how like y'all, like as in his team, his PR, like y'all need to understand that like this is not making y'all look good. Like the way y'all are acting in the courtroom, like y'all looking real unbothered around here. And like the way how they're acting versus how we're taking it as the public, it seems to be on the opposite sides of the spectrum. And maybe because it's like today is our first time hearing about it, but it's not their first time hearing about it, right? So they've been knowing about it. Well, I can't speak for the kids. And the kids is another situation because even today, like Cassie talked about how like when she got beaten and they snuck her into the house. And at some point, Diddy says that like you got to go and put on some makeup, not only just to go to outside events, but even to be in the house. Like he was like, you got to put on makeup because the kids can't see you like this, like And so like I wonder now, like the kids looking back, did they know? Did they have an inkling? How do they feel about that? Because imagine all of this is going on and you're not knowing, and now all of a sudden, oh, that one time, yeah, like she was going through it. Like, oh my lord, my heart and my thoughts is of course with Cassie, all of the survivors that's affiliated with this situation, and just in general around the world. If you or somebody has been through this, something like this, just know that y'all are not alone. Please go out to get help. There is somebody who cares about you. There is somebody who will listen. There is somebody waiting for you at the end of the tunnel. Like I promise you, do not go through this alone. And to all of the women, we have to love ourselves. I kind of wonder, what Cassie's relationship is like with her parents, because this is not to at all, like put any blame on her, but to sort of accept this behavior from a man. There's so many factors at play, as in, she wanted a career. At some point, she does fall in love with him and she wants his acceptance. But I wonder, like, what's her relationship like with her father? Her father hasn't come up at much. Anytime that they have alluded to her parents being involved in a situation or knowing about something, it's always been her mother. And you know how like people talk where like, oh, if you date older or whatever, is because of a lack of a father figure, or when you accept abusive behavior and stuff like that. Of course, not always, but I'm just wondering, like what her relationship was like, growing up with her parents. And I wonder, and I hope, bitch, nobody ain't said shit about this yet, but I kind of hope that her mother gets on the stand and testifies to, because her mother, she lied to her mother for a while, as a lot of survivors do. But when he kicked her back in and she went back home to Connecticut, I think it was around Christmas time, her mother took pictures of her back, right? So she was a part of getting evidence and conserving evidence. And I really wonder, and it's like I don't know what go through dude's mind for real, but it's like when stuff like this happens, what like did Diddy must have not thought nothing of Cassie. He did not respect this girl at all, because she kept evidence for most of their time together. And even thinking about the news that broke last night regarding Hallie and DDG, she has evidence too. I mean, all of these women have evidence when they come forward with what they've been through. And so for the men, and not only just for the men, because I'm not trying to put things on the men, but for people who are in that position where you are the one who is exerting the power over someone else, and the people is taking evidence. Hallie showed you the pictures. Cassie sent you the pictures of what you did to her. You didn't ever think that it was going to come out? Like, you just didn't think nothing at all? Like, what do y'all be thinking?